from an abandoned warehouse somewhere in the Sagaponic zip code, the most expensive
zip code in the country.
Zip code in the country.
So they say.
And this place, LTV, is keeping the property values down. This is AirHamptons with Bridget and Bill, except there's a lot wrong with the title.
I'm not Bridget.
At this performance, the part of Bridget Leroy is played by Patrick McLaughlin. And the dulcet tones you heard at the top of the show were not Jim Turner. Jim Turner's our one-man in-house band.
Oh, it looks so sad. The bench is there.
It's just an empty stool, which was the name of a bar I went to in London one time. No, it wasn't. We had to play a little stock music, and that's starting off 2025 with a whimper rather than a bang.
Well,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm happy to be over 2024. So there you go.
Many people are. We can talk about that. We have a show filled with what we're doing right and wrong at the gym and how we can correct everything.
Oh, knows I need that.
I'm a massive before picture. You're more of an after. You're more
I'm in the middle of the road.
I'm
I'm like
Peloton.
I'm somewhere in the middle maybe, but maybe Eric can help me like a little bit.
Yes, gentleman.
Go over the
Eric Cohen joins us in just a few minutes. In the meantime, we are going to talk with Scarlett Johansson, Martin Scorsese, and Jennifer Lopez about some of the movies they made last year coming to your home portal this month. January of 2025. It's an episode we call What's New?
I'm not going to add, well, you don't count. I mean, you count, but I rarely go to the movies anymore. And you know me from back in the day. I used to always go to the movies.
Well, that's going to be a challenge in 2025. That's going to be a problem for the theaters and distribution, which is shortening its window.
Right.
I mean, some of my favorite movies last year. I'll give you a perfect example. Saturday Night was a movie about Saturday Night Live that Jason Reitman did. You haven't seen it.
I know it was at the film festival.
It was at the Hamptons Film Festival last year. It's in my top 10 list last year, and I hope it wins a Best Screenplay. I don't know if it's got any chance in any other category, but I'm pulling for it on a thing called Gatecrashers, which is a website that is kind of a crystal ball everyone looks into as to whether what's going to win for any entertainment awards, Golden Globes and everything. And Saturday Night, with a largely unknown cast, but a really, really good movie, was on demand, like, I think a week after it was in the...
Well, remember during COVID, there were movies that were released simultaneously in theaters.
Day and date it's called.
And some of them actually did pretty well. Like, for example, the first Dune movie made over $100 million and was released on pay-per-view at the same... Actually, no, it was on Max. It wasn't even pay-per-view.
Right, if you had Max.
And apparently I'm going through puberty. My voice keeps going. And
that's the new voice of Patrick McLaughlin for 2025. We are sort of making ourselves over in this hour. What's your what resolution have you broken so far? What did you decide, and what have you?
I made a resolution not to make resolutions. You know what? I will say my big thing, one of my major vices is my wine consumption, and I keep saying I'm going to drink less wine.
Oh.
Yeah. Right. Well, I can drink a couple glasses of white wine. You know, when you go to the doctor and you fill out that form, like, how many glasses of wine do you drink a day?
I just had my physical, and they're asking really personal questions because they want to know your behaviors.
Yeah. Do you have one glass?
Well,
two,
you know what? I think
three? And that's not that's per week.
I think
that's not even per day.
Out. I think we've been lying all these years.
Yeah, so we have.
And then somebody has hepatitis or gets their liver cirrhosis or something, and the doctor says, "Well, you didn't tell me you were drinking, what, a gallon a day? What are you putting down?"
Oh, probably like a Costco-sized glass of wine.
You could go through 3 glasses at dinner.
Easily.
As could I.
Easily.
That wasn't one. So you're saying here in the first weekend of January, you've already broken that.
Yeah, you know what? It just... it was a rough couple days. It was a rough couple days.
We're going to talk about the most anticipated movies of 2025. I contribute to something called Sitting Around Talking Movies, and I'm also, as you know, an NPR host on something called Talking Movies with a guy named Neil Rosen.
Neil Rosen.
I like to pretend it's.
I like.
And Lisa Rossman, and so yeah, there are some really interesting movies. We got the second half of Wicked coming, the second half of Mission Impossible, and lots of sequels. But a couple of
Let me ask you a question. Going back to that, I thought they changed that whole thing with Mission Impossible. It's not a second half anymore.
Is that what you heard?
That's what I heard, because the first one was so underperformed at the box office that they're not making it a part 2 now.
Isn't it funny you say underperformed? I think it made like $300 million, and they thought it was going to make $350 million.
Tom Cruise. They have higher expectations. I remember when they premiered one, and Alec Baldwin hosted a screening in East Hampton, and he was saying how like Tom Cruise is such a perfectionist that like, if he sees something and he doesn't like it, he's Tom Cruise. He gets whatever he wants. They'll bring the whole crew back, no matter the expense, and reshoot stuff. So
yeah, why can't we get that at LTV?
Yeah,
WLIW-FM.
WLIW.
If you're listening to us.
But you know, I mean, so when we say box office disappointing at the box office, I mean, I'm sure that movie was not cheap to produce.
Well, Scarlett Johansson is going to talk about the very fact that Against Its Own. The very fact that they made Fly Me to the Moon with Channing Tatum, and it underperformed dramatically.
Great movie, though. Great movie.
Yeah, it
really
is
funny and entertaining.
It was not in my top 10 last year, but it's very amusing and
it's a great
streaming now this month, and that's why we're going to talk about that. But she had an expectation for it to be a reason people would go back to the movies. We'll talk about that a little later in the hour.
But I got to tell you, this is another old thing. I just found out about Suits. I just started watching Suits. Has anyone ever seen the show Suits?
Yeah, with Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle, and I don't know who the guys are, but it's really, really fun.
Yeah, I tried to get into that. That's from like 2010.
It's like 10 years old. Yeah.
And I haven't. We're going to talk streaming later in the hour, so that's a tease for that.
But they say it's coming back again. A new version of it is coming back. So I'm late to the game, but I'm really enjoying it. I like downloaded all the seasons, and
Will you be traveling in 2025?
Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
Where are we going?
Hopefully Italy. And Aspen, as of now. Aspen, yeah. It's so cheap. Aspen these days. It makes the Hamptons.
For a nanosecond, I was like, oh, really? And
it makes the Hamptons look like Ronkonkoma. It's like.
It's and it's kind of it doesn't feel played out to you.
It's the Hamptons of the ski set. That's all I can. I mean, it is what you make it. But I will tell you, I went to one of the restaurants out there about 2 years ago, and I had a roast chicken, and it was like $70. I nearly had a coronary.
So you're looking forward to that trip?
I think I'm going to order in like some Domino's and stuff like that. I rented a condo. I'm not staying at a hotel, so there's that.
Just before the holidays, well, actually during Thanksgiving of last year, we went on a boat trip, and then we went
Thanks
to Miami.
for inviting me.
We went to Miami. It was a family thing.
Thanks for inviting
me. You're close, but you're not that close. You're not in the will. So we go for a bike ride in 90-degree weather in Miami on a flat surface. Now, it was one of those balloon-tired bikes, but it had 2 speeds. 6 miles one way to go to brunch and 6 miles back. I thought I'd been in a prize fight. And I thought I was in okay condition.
Right.
I'm going to go have what's called an echo. I had a
stress test.
A stress test, basically, I'm going to walk up and down and die. So I'm looking forward to that in 2025. But the idea that I went on a flat surface and it was every bit of an hour, so we were pedaling like 6 miles an hour, maybe 7, wore me out. Got me to thinking I really have to get back to the gym this year in 2025.
Well, we all do. We could all be exercising more.
So, like every other program you're listening to in the January of 2025, we're going to talk about trying to get over the hump of beginning to exercise. But we have an expert. I'm going to bring him on, and we're going to meet him in just a moment. But first, the heartfoundation.org has the top 10 excuses for not exercising.
Right.
In at number 10, I don't like to sweat. I have to reapply makeup for women, obviously, or some men.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take another shower. Number 9, I don't like to work out around the opposite sex. Is that a thing?
Well, for me it is, but
so our guest is a private trainer, and he will tell us that
I'm kidding, by the way. I'm kidding.
I can't. Number 8 is I can't stick with a program.
That's hard for a lot of people.
But you're supposed to shift it up, I think. I think that's actually a misnomer because you're supposed to do different things on different days.
You are. I unfortunately do my Peloton. I pretty much do it almost every day. And I know I'm just repeating the same. So I've been, in the past couple weeks, since the beginning of the year, I've started mixing it up too.
Do you have a guy or a girl that you do it with?
You know what? My favorite is actually one of the girls on Peloton, Leanne, the British girl. You know why? She plays the best music, in my humble opinion.
Howard Stern is a Peloton person, and he talks all the time about this woman that he is in love with, but also kicks his ass.
Right. There's a couple that I really like. I like Leanne, and there's a guy. Oh God, what's his name?
Are these live when you're taking them?
You know what? I wish I'd done live. I have.
Have they said your name?
I have, actually.
Wow.
Very funny story. I was in Mexico.
What's your Peloton name?
Patrick Hampton's easy. It's easy. But it's kind of funny. It's I bought a Peloton like really early. Remember they had a showroom before this whole big thing, way before COVID.
Right.
And they had a showroom in East Hampton, and I'm like, this thing is so cool. And I went and bought it, and I would do these classes, and there'd be like 100 people in a live class. Now it's thousands. It's like crazy. So, I mean, it's kind of funny when I meet the instructors, if I ever like go into the city or something like that, they still remember my name from way back in the beginning.
You're Patrick Hamptons.
You're Patrick Hamptons. And it's
like the guy in Monopoly with the top hat and a little monocle. You're that guy.
You're that guy.
Well, and do you do the mirror? Have you ever seen anyone do the mirror?
I have not. That's owned by Lululemon owns the mirror.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they bought the mirror. There's another one.
I have the mirror. It's just a mirror.
There's another one that actually has like cables and everything.
Yeah, I think yes, I've seen that one that folds up into the wall.
Yeah, that's supposed to be really good. A friend
This is all stuff we'll spend money on and never use, according to these top.
Well, I remember Nordic tracks. We used to call them Nordic racks because no one ever used them.
They put them on there. Well, the Nordic tracks were complicated. I'm sorry, Nordic Track, if you're listening. It was.
But if you want to sponsor Nordic Track, it's all good with us.
Number 7, I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too uncoordinated, or I'm too embarrassed to exercise.
That's my excuse.
All right.
That's why I do it at home.
Number 6, I get bored easily, and exercise is no fun.
Correct.
Number 5, and as opposed to 8 and 9, we're working with other people. I don't like to exercise alone. That's why you need a coach, maybe. 4, I need to be motivated. 3, I don't have time. I have a job. I'm a full-time parent. 2, I can't afford a gym or a private trainer.
There's
How expensive is a private trainer? We're going to find out.
We'll find out. But you know what? It's an investment in your health.
Yeah, you say that, but
it's true. It's true. And number 1.
So is cocaine. I'm not going to do that. I'm too tired to exercise is the number 1.
Yeah.
And we know the answer to that, which is if you exercise,
that's why God invented coffee.
Eric Cohen is an East End entrepreneur and personal trainer with an emphasis on strength for living longer and better. And he joins us now. Eric, welcome.
Yeah, Patrick, great to be here.
Thank you.
We'll change that.
Just call me Bridget for today.
What are we doing wrong? What's the number 1 thing everyone listening to this right now or watching what's the big mistake? Did any of these top 10 things ring true?
Yeah, people always have excuses. There's always something that comes up. And the biggest mistake that people have is they think they have to be motivated. They have to want to go to the gym.
Good. I don't have to be motivated.
You don't have to be motivated. Right. But what you have to do, you have to leave your gym clothes out. Then you have to get in the car. Then you have to walk in the door of the gym. Then you have to start warming up. Right. And before you know it, you'll get into your workout. You can't just say, I feel like it. I don't feel like working out every day. But
even you're saying.
Even me.
The first 5 minutes are always the hardest of any workout, right?
And some days I do. So, some days I'm very lucky and I feel like it.
Right.
But some days I just don't want to. But I say to myself, listen, I'm just going to get on the bike and warm up and go through my routine. And if I really don't feel like it, I'll stop. 99 times out of 100, I finished the workout. So that's what you have to do. And you have to go when you don't feel like it.
How long have you been working out? How about that?
I really discovered it in college. Super lucky. I went to college as a 138-pound guy and left about 175 pounds. That's where I've been ever since.
Yeah. Pretty steady. You've kept it at that.
Yep.
Can eat whatever you want?
No.
Oh, okay.
But to that extent, I follow the 80% rule. I eat really well 80% of the time. There's a little deli on Noyak Road that they make bread pudding. Just a couple of times a week.
Do you have directions?
Porco's, right on Noyak. Okay. And every now and then, I want that bread pudding. But that's the 15 or 20%. It's not the bulk of the time.
And what are you eating during the 80%? What you call a good diet? What should we be eating more of?
Well, we should be eating more protein. The government guidelines for protein is the minimum so your body can function. So basically 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. It's a lot more than you
1 gram
think.
of protein per pound.
215 grams for me. By the way, I weigh the same as Donald Trump, and I think I carry it a little better. Yeah, I mean, and I think we'll talk about getting a goal and everything.
Does your scale have battery? No, just sorry. Sorry.
It's an app.
He sent me.
Yeah, and what are you, look, we're all at the truth table now. He's 175, I'm 215. What are you?
I'm about 215.
You are?
Yeah, I'm about
But you look better than me. What's your waist?
I'm anywhere from a 30, depending upon the cut, like 33 to a 35.
Now, see, he weighs the exact same as I do, and I'm a 38, 32. 38 waist, 32 inseam. And I've been that since college. I mean, and my weight has fluctuated, but I'm getting into those damn 38, 32s no matter what I do. So he's in much better, but he probably has lower body mass index, correct?
Yeah, but I got a physical the other day, and the notes from the PA who didn't examine me was like, I need to lose weight and exercise more.
Really? Did they tell you I'm a professional trainer?
Yeah,
What did they say? You just watch people?
The doctor who saw me, but when you look at that BMI number, I'm carrying more muscle. It's just it's a ballpark. It's don't live by that by any stretch.
Yeah, those BMI index things. I'm like, I think I'm clinically obese if you look at one of those things. And my doctor, I've said similar questions to him that.
I was like, come on.
No, you're just clinically drunk.
Yeah, clinically drunk and morbidly obese. Yes, yeah.
Okay, so as Patrick points out, the first 5 minutes, get over that hump, do anything you have to do to get the gym clothes on, if you have to lay them out the night before, and drive to the gym or drive to someone like you. What got you into private training?
So I've been an entrepreneur out here on the East End, and always trained myself, and I pick up some classes on the weekends. I love working with people. Recently exited a business, and now I'm doing this full-time-ish. And it's just fun. And part of what my thinking is for my clients is I want this to be the best hour of their day. Because when you do work out, you're releasing the dopamine, the serotonin, all the happy hormones, like they talk about the runner's high. When you work out, you can get that, and it lasts through the day. So I get to bring that to people and just love it.
You know what was strange about my riding experience, to bring it back to me, which is what this show always does, jump in anytime, my lungs were fine. I wasn't huffing and puffing. My body just was 67 years old and didn't want to play along. My legs were tired, my everything, but I wasn't breathing heavily. So I think my heart's okay, my lungs are okay, but the rest of my body is not caught up. Or has deteriorated, I guess.
Well, I can say I'm in my 60s. As we get older, a couple things happen. We tend to lose muscle mass. And actually, the reason I said eat more protein is as we get older, this is almost a cruel joke, our bodies have a harder time synthesizing that protein into muscle. So we need more. So having more muscle mass is like body armor against aging. Like we all lose 1 to 2% of muscle and strength every year, starting sometime in our 40s. Maybe even a little early. Yeah. And if you are working out, if you're lifting weights, if you're on a Peloton, you are going to keep more of that muscle longer into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. But the reason you're doing that now is for future you. To keep you out of the nursing home, to keep you living independently. And when they look at studies of what 3 organs are most important for healthy quality of life later on.
Careful, we're a family show here.
Yep. So heart, brain, thigh muscle.
Really?
The more muscle mass you have in your thighs, which is representative of the whole body, the better you are going to live into your 70s.
Wow, I would have guessed core if you had told me one body part was part of that organ thing, that the gut health and a strong midsection was the thing that helps keep our balance and basically helps us stand up and sit down. But I guess the thigh does that functionality.
And the thigh is more of a barometer. So if you have a nice muscle mass in your thighs, you probably have in the other parts of your body as well.
So as we get older, we can't do the same routines that you see these 20-year-old kids in the gym doing. What's more important for people as we get older? The cardio, the weightlifting, hybrid? What is it?
All the research and thinking that's coming out now is a big shift from the importance of the cardio, 70s, 80s, the running boom, Peloton, it's all, that was the thing. But the research is showing that it's muscle mass. So, here's the thing. When you see a guy who runs a 3-hour marathon in his 30s, and he gets into his 60s and he's running maybe a 3-hour, 10-minute marathon, it's amazing. But the strength, a guy who can lift 300 pounds in his 30s, by the time he gets to his 60s, he's not lifting half of that unless he's really aggressively working out. But even at the high ends, that is going down. So the more muscle you can build, the more muscle you can keep, the better. And you can build muscle into your 70s, even 80s, strength training, whether it's using your body weight, it's never too late to start. You know the expression, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree? Today. Wow. The same goes for working out. It's never too late.
Well, I'm not going to work out, but I'm definitely going to plant a tree.
Well, what about supplements? I mean, especially for people who are, we'll say over 50.
Yeah.
Like, what do we need to help us do that? I mean, you see all these snake oil salesmen on cable TV or wherever. This supplement will help you grow muscle mass and so improve testosterone.
Chuck Norris has a thing called Kickstart. There are a lot of famous people saying that they wouldn't endorse this if it didn't really work. And I'm sorry, Chuck Norris, but it didn't kickstart me. I tried it. It was supposed to help brain and gut and also give me some incentive to work out. It didn't work. It kick-stopped.
Basically none of them. So protein, if you want to consider protein a supplement, making a protein smoothie, making a shake.
Those whey proteins, that stuff that isn't natural to an animal, is good. Pea protein. There's so many proteins now.
Yeah. Whey protein is milk. It's a dairy product. So whey protein is the best source of protein supplement out there. And we were talking about the high protein numbers. So the best way to get that is to take a protein supplement, shake, whatever, at some point in between your 3 meals with a good healthy dose. And then if you are lifting and you want to really maximize your gains, not to overdo that word, one of the most widely studied and beneficial supplements is creatine.
Really?
Yeah.
That's been around there for a long time. I've been hearing that word.
Been around forever. They're also looking at it now that it helps with brain function and other things.
Is that the one athletes can't take, though, because they get tested for it? Or
No.
Creatine's a natural supplement.
It's completely natural?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Creatine, and if you do take it and you go get your physical, there's a sort of natural in your body, it's like creatinine, which is a little different, may test high. So let your doctor know, and always check with your doctor before you do anything. But creatine, widely safe, proven effective. Everything else is either snake oil or is going to be so absolutely minimal that you just don't need to spend your money on it. So more protein, creatine. That's it.
Creatine, wow.
And that's all you take? What do you take?
There is one other supplement that I take, beta-alanine, but that's really I'm trying to maximize that last 1% of performance when I train, because I compete as a fitness athlete as well. So we're doing high intensity exercise. So I take beta-alanine.
Are you a polar plunge guy?
I've not done a polar plunge.
All right.
Yeah, that's a very hot. We had someone on this summer when we did the summer show who talked about the
whole cold plunging phenomenon is supposed to be a thing that makes you feel younger, burns fat, and I don't know if you've had any experience.
Yeah, I've done it. There's conflicting research out about that as well. It can again spark some of those happy hormones we talked about, the serotonin, dopamine, et cetera, make you feel good and get a little rush. If you like it, do it. It can also tamp down some inflammation if you have a particularly hard workout. And it's a challenge. And if you set your mind to it and you do it and you're like, hey, I'm going to sit in this thing for 5 minutes and you accomplish that, great. It's going to set you up for the rest of the day. Nothing against it. But personally, it's not for me.
I'm not going to do any cold plunging. No. But diet is also.
What if there's wine in there?
I'll do a wine plunge. Do a wine plunge.
We're making too much of this. You're fine.
But diet is always key. I keep hearing.
Yeah.
And when we say diet, is it calories? Is it protein? What do you count?
Do you believe in keto? Do you believe in any of the low carb, high protein diets?
So again, we're looking for 2 decades. What can you do for 2 decades?
Right.
Very few people can do keto for 2 decades. What do? I start with protein. So what's my protein source for the meal? A typical dinner. Is it chicken? Is it steak? Is it a piece of fish? Okay. I start there, and then I'll add a salad, pretty much have a salad every night, sweet potato or rice, and some other kind of vegetable that we probably got from Serene Green. That's it. It's not terribly complicated. Cutting out processed foods, focusing on whole plants, animals, and you can do this all plant-based as well. There's some really good protein sources.
What's a typical day like? You get up in the morning. Do you eat before you work out?
Depends when I'm working out, but typically I'll get up and my go-to meal, probably 6 days a week, is my morning smoothie, because then I know that I'm getting all that. So into it goes the creatine, goes the protein powder, goes a little avocado for healthy fats, kale, and then a scoop of whey protein powder, and another scoop of plant-based protein powder. And
what does that taste like?
It's delicious.
Really?
I'll take your word.
Yeah, it's delicious.
No stevia, no monk fruit, no nothing?
No, the most of the protein supplements are pretty good tasting. Yeah. Oh, and then usually a banana in that. And that
you freeze that banana so it's like an ice cube?
No, I don't like it frozen.
I like mine dipped in chocolate. That's all.
Or Chardonnay.
Or Chardonnay. Here we go, this wine joke. Anyway.
Beat that into the ground. I got to tell you about a picture I saw one time in the National Enquirer that just totally my heart sank. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger at the beach. And he was married at the time to Maria Shriver. And the kids were there. And he looked like a deflated balloon. And I remember him talking about having to get back into shape for whatever movie was the next movie that I'm going to make. And he did. But how important is it? What's a guy like Schwarzenegger have to do for it to just completely stop being Arnold Schwarzenegger? A year? A month? What's it take?
Certainly not a month. But if you're going a year without training, and keep in mind that when he was in his peak and when he's training for movies, he's probably training, I would guesstimate, at least 3 to 4 hours a day. And when you pull back from that level of training, your body's going to change. Right. But the one thing is, as we are here, in our 60s and moving forward, it's all about consistency now. Right. When I was 20 or 30, if I took a month off of training, no big deal. I could get back into it. I hopefully will never take a month off now. Right. It's just something that consistency is the most important thing.
How much time should we typically spend a day on exercise?
So, that's one of the myths is if you don't have an hour, it's not worth it. It's not worth going. But if you can get into the gym or do something for even 15 or 20 minutes, do it. It's just about getting out and making it happen. But ideally, most people can really get in a good amount of work in an hour.
Right. What do you think of the minimum? I've heard everything from 25 minutes to 20 minutes to a half hour. Is there any sort of minimum we need?
If you want, again, it depends on your goals.
Right.
But you should be working out at least 3 hours a week, I would say, is minimum.
And what's the balance of cardio to weight and gym time versus treadmill versus push-ups and sit-ups?
Yeah, initially, or a few years ago, it was more cardio, less weights. Now the recommendations are at least 2 days of weight training and a couple days of cardio. Again, that's a little
Eric
beyond
Cohen.
the minimum.
Eric is helping us talk, or trying to talk us into getting into shape. He's a private trainer on the east end of Long Island. By the way, Serene Green that he mentioned is if you're listening in Manhattan, kind of a little, looks like it's in the middle of Malibu. It's on the outskirts of Sag Harbor, and it's an organic farm stand that I get drinks at every day. I know they don't have any creatine in them. Eric is all about living longer and getting you back into shape, any kind of shape that you can sustain. We're all for that in the new year. We talk about it every year. I think Nutrisystem, all the diets, Weight Watchers spend something like 80% of their advertising budget in January. So everyone has the right idea at the beginning of the year, whether they can keep it up or not. So let's say Patrick and I come in, we meet with you, we want a one-on-one session. What's going to happen? What happens first? How do we do it? How do you assess us? Walk us through it.
So first thing is we'll talk about your health, what your last checkup, doctor visit was about, any injuries that you have. Then we'll also talk about your goals. Some people, their goal is to play, some people that I work with now, their goal is to play tennis better and pickleball better. Other people, one guy's preparing for snowboarding this winter, and other people just basically want to look better naked and get in better shape. So we talk about that. Usually that's a good
Let's talk realistic goals, Eric. Let's not good. Naked's never going to be the thing.
And then we'll go through a shortened version of what I do, sort of make sure that there's a fit and that you feel comfortable. And part of that will be lifting some relatively heavy weights. I had a client come in first time. She'd done some training on her own, and she was deadlifting, just lifting a barbell full of weights up off the ground. And I was watching her, and before she finished, she put the barbell down. She did 5 reps. She said, "How much was that?" I said, "That was your body weight, about 140 pounds. She was like, "Oh my God."
Wow.
If I didn't tell her on purpose, because had I told her, she probably wouldn't have lifted it. Just her mind would have been like, "No way." She's able to lift 140 pounds off the ground. And then we do tried and true progressions to build up that strength. And we just slowly, steadily, form comes first, because safety is the most important thing.
Right.
And then we add weights as it's appropriate.
What's she up to?
I think last I checked, she was at about 175.
Wow. And what do you cost for every session? Is a half an hour, 2 hours, 90? What is it?
Our sessions are about $175 per session. Most of my clients are seeing me twice a week. Many of them work out either at their home or at a gym a couple other days, and we're just crushing it. I had a gentleman who came in, started in June. He deadlifted 245 pounds the other day.
Wow.
And you have your own little gym here in Bridgehampton.
I have my own private little gym. And
it's definitely one person at a time. You don't do any classes or do
just one person at a time. Occasionally, we've done some sessions with a husband and wife, a father-son, but generally one-on-one.
Radio, TV show co-hosts.
Yeah, God.
Would that be a first?
We'll get Bridget
back. Can you deadlift me? Yeah, we'll get Bridget. I can lift.
I'm. You know what? When we were talking about deadlifting, that's one thing why you definitely need a trainer. My fear is hurting myself.
Yeah.
That's a big scare for me.
But here's the thing. I was talking with a woman a few months ago, and she was saying how she goes to the gym. She was telling me about her routine, and she picks up these 2-pound weights, and she does all these different movements with these 2-pound weights. And I said to her, "You go to the grocery store?" She's like, "Yeah." I said, "You carry your groceries in?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "How much does each bag weigh?" "I don't know, 15 pounds. I said, "Do you travel?" She says, "Yeah." I said, "Do you put your luggage in the overhead compartment?" She says, "Yeah." I said, "How much does that weigh?" She says, "Usually about 30 pounds. I say, "So lifting 2-pound weights, you are not preparing yourself for life. You need to lift 30 pounds.
That's
40
doing
pounds.
nothing? That's not toning or doing anything for her at all?
I'm tiniest little thing, but it's...
Because 2 is what I...
It's just
basically
it's not doing anything. If you're active and lifting your grocery bags and throwing around your luggage,
you have to exceed what you normally do on a daily basis in order to build muscle.
Yeah, you need to get to the point where you are 1 or 2 repetitions away from failure at a given weight.
Wow.
So if you picked up a 10-pound dumbbell, which would be a little heavier than that, but a little lighter, and you could do 30 repetitions with that, that's what you would need to do, is you need to do 28, 29, 30 repetitions.
And you're all dead weight, and you don't have any Nautilus equipment or any kind of gym equipment per se. You've got weights, and it's you, and you're like...
We've got weights, we've got an exercise bike, we have a rower, so we do have some different equipment, but there's a lot of variety. We have sandbags. We have a 35, a 50, and 100-pound sandbag.
Do you have that big tire that everybody pushes over on the Iron Man thing?
If I had more room, I would have a tire.
The big tire.
I want the tire.
Let's go back to Bill's question about Nautilus. Is this like 1979 or 1980?
Well, or any kind of gym equipment that you were talking about safety, and that one thing that those machines do generally is get you into a position where you can't hurt yourself unless you put way too much weight on it.
Right.
It's...
Yeah, and I'm not against the machines, and particularly for someone who's new, they're a great tool. Go out and use them. But as you progress, when you get into it, again, that the free weights, as they're called, that's what you're doing in life. You're picking up a 20-pound bag of cat food. That's not in a machine. You need to be in that position, in that kind of shape.
Can you be a drill sergeant when you have to be? You seem too nice to be like that.
I could be pretty motivational with my clients, but after working with me for a few months, again, we're making it fun. We're seeing huge gains. We track everything, and they're pretty motivated. They're pretty excited about it. And when I say motivated, in the middle of the workout, often they're not motivated to come in at 6, but they drag their butts in.
Can someone come and see you for a month or 2 and then continue what you've shown them on their own?
If they wanted to, yeah. I teach, I coach. I'm not just taking people through sweat sessions. I'm teaching them.
You're not a gym buddy.
The hows, the whys.
Right. Yeah.
This is what we're doing. This is what the benefit is. This is the proper technique. This is how you do this. This is what to look for. Again, because this is for life.
So there's someone sitting on their sofa right now listening to us as they're sipping a Slurpee or drinking a big thing of Coke. What advice could you give them to get them motivated and off the sofa?
Well, when people tell me I hate exercise, I ask them, have you tried everything? So have you tried dancing? Have you tried Pilates? Have you tried pickleball? Have you tried tennis? There's a woman I know for exercise, she tap dances. So don't necessarily think...
Not with you in the studio.
No, not with me. But don't necessarily think it has to be that unpleasant gym experience that maybe you had in 7th grade. Right. Find something that you like. And as you progress, I do think it's to your advantage to get back into the gym and move some weight. But if you're really just starting out, go for a walk. If you walk 30 minutes every day, if you've been pretty sedentary and you start walking 30 minutes every day.
Not brisk, not like huff and puff, but at a decent pace, but not almost running, just walk.
Just walk whatever feels right to you.
And what's the one exercise that burns fat? For people listening to this and want some kind of jump start to the enormous holiday meals.
Yeah, so pretty much all exercise burns calories, and fat comes from an excess of calories. If we have too many calories, we will accumulate fat. So that being said, all exercise is good. Abs are made in the kitchen. So one of the exercises that I tell my people to do is plate pushaways. and fork put downs.
Oh, so, it took me a minute to figure that one out. I'm like, play push away. I've never done that one in the gym before.
But then to get a little deeper, and once you've done some type of exercise, you will tap into your fat stores a little bit quicker for long duration, lower intensity, steady state exercise.
You like chair yoga? Have you seen those old guys on Instagram that just have a chair and they're just
if they're moving, I love it. And
using body weight as instead of gym weight as your training sort of tool or machine gets us doing it at home if that's what it takes.
I think if that's where you are, then yeah, chair yoga's amazing. And if you can add even 1 pound weights after a little bit of time, then maybe you can add 2 pounds. But again, it's movement is all good.
All movement is good.
All movement is good movement.
He trains famous people. He can't tell us their names. I will.
Damn it.
I will after he leaves. No, I won't do that. You need strengthening and conditioning. He does it for grown-ups who want to feel better. Eric Cohen, thank you so much for joining us. If people want to get a hold of you.
That was my next question. How do people get in touch with Eric?
How do they send you an email at this address? Or?
Yep. I have my personal email is Eric Cohen Ski. One of my passions is skiing at gmail.com. My Instagram is just Eric R. Cohen, all one word, and you can find me on Instagram.
Follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
Do that. Eric is with a C, Cohen is with a C, and Ski is S-K-I, and again, that's at Gmail. Eric, thank you so much.
Awesome,
Before you go, best movie you saw last year. Are you like him? Do you not go to the movies?
I do not go to the movies that much. I did just see Wicked and really enjoyed it.
That might win Best Picture, actually.
So, yeah.
So you'll go see the second half of Wicked?
Yeah, I didn't know there was going to be a second half.
That's how they get you.
But apparently now I'm going to go see the
saw.
second half as well.
Yeah. All right, thanks for joining
Eric, thanks. That was awesome.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, as Eric pointed out,
following Eric on Instagram as we speak.
Good for you. He's one person at a time. He mentioned the second half of Wicked coming. What are you looking forward to?
Can we go back to Wicked for a second?
Yeah.
I hated the show.
You did?
I thought the show was a terrible bore. The music was unmemorable.
Oh wow!
And I just don't get it.
So you haven't seen it and you won't see it?
No, I mean I'll wait till it comes out on television and then I'll watch it then.
Well, this does seem like one of those films and it's making a lot of money that needs to be seen in a it may eclipse Barbie. The second half of that is coming. I'm looking forward to the second half of Mission Impossible, even though you say the first one underperformed. And if you're just joining us, this is AirHamptons with Bridget and Bill, and the part of Bridget being played by Patrick McLaughlin.
Are these Eric's sunglasses, by the way?
Oh boy, Eric
left his sunglasses if anyone wants to grab them.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I have no desire to see Wicked, but I will tell you, I'm excited to see Superman.
Yeah, there's a rebooted Superman coming. There's some kind of a Jurassic Park called Jurassic World Rebirth. I guess, is that going to be a prequel? There's another Avatar coming called Fire and Ash. But listen to this. You mentioned Superman. Yeah. There's another Mad Max. There's another Fantastic Four. There's Disney's, because Disney loves to milk this franchise all it can, is making now a live-action Snow White. There's a Michael Jackson biopic called Michael. They were up all night naming that one, from Antoine Fuqua, who's very good, very talented.
I think he's a great director. He's very underrated.
There's more Tron. There's another SpongeBob movie. There's a Smurfs movie. There's another Predator. There's, I don't know how they're
Another Predator.
Yeah. Didn't they learn any? Yeah, so many unanswered questions from the first two Predators. Dodgeball 2. Do you remember Dodgeball? Did we do that junket together?
No, you must have done it. That was the, what's his name? The heavyset guy, Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
Are you watching his show on Apple?
He has a show?
Yeah, it's called Bad Monkey.
I guess I'm not watching it.
Oh, it's funny.
Is it?
Yeah. He's got that toss it off kind of persona.
Yeah.
Vince Vaughn was in Swingers, if you're trying to picture him. He's been in, I guess that's probably the most famous thing he was in.
Was he? Oh, no. Wedding Crashers was his
Wedding
biggest.
Crashers. He and
Owen Wilson, yeah.
Yeah, great film. But yeah, he's the basic premise of this guy is he's a cop, Vaughn, in Bad Monkey, living in Key West. And he's
Key West, Disneyland for alcoholics.
He's kicked off the the Force, and he has to get back.
Well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's good. Mel Gibson has another Passion of the Christ movie, so he's out. So as I said in my notes, apparently he's out of money. And Martin Scorsese is doing a biopic of Teddy Roosevelt starring Leo DiCaprio.
Great.
Speaking of Martin...
Wait, can we go back to this for a second? If you want to watch a really great series, I think it's on Netflix or... it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime. Ken Burns did something on the Roosevelts, and it starts with Teddy and it goes up to FDR, and it's a great series. I think it's about 4 episodes, but it's great. And I read that Doris Kearns Goodwin book, No Ordinary Time, about the Roosevelts. One of my favorite books of all times. But this series,
I just don't see Leo as
Teddy
Roosevelt.
But I didn't
see him as he was J. Edgar Hoover.
Yeah.
Down the stretch.
And then also what's his the crazy billionaire, the aviator, Howard Hughes. Yeah,
The Aviator. That was good.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, we'll talk about. All right, we can talk about series streaming, but first, we mentioned Martin Scorsese a moment ago, and that was the Teddy bio that's coming next year. But last year, he produced a new documentary about the Beatles that drops. I think it's already out. It's been out for a week or so. It's called Beatles 64, that takes a deep dive into one of their first trips to the United States. We caught up with Martin Scorsese on the red carpet, or maybe it was the blue carpet for Apple. Here's what he had to say about that group at that particular time.
I tend to think of it as the beginning of the Beatles. Of course, they had been around for a few years in Liverpool and other places, and I was, I remember it vividly. For me, it's kind of it's really interesting for the audience, the younger people, to see this and understand that there was no British music scene before that. There was music, but it was more. It didn't translate as well to different other countries, and certainly not like this. And so, this phenomenon happened, and you see it happen in this picture. But primarily, what was really the big change was that it had an innocence to it and a drive for creativity that knew no bounds. Nothing was holding them in any way. And so this is something that as you get older and become old and you try to keep working, you try to always tap back into that energy of youth and innocence and art. The point is that the music, I'd say after the first year, the music developed so, they stayed together, 6 years, 7 years after this, and they already went to new, in a sense, frontiers. They matured within 2 to 3 years into mature and, in a sense, sometimes it takes an artist, I don't know, whether it's a performer or painter or musician, composer, whatever, maybe a period of 10 years or so, 15, 20 years to reach certain levels. These guys reach it within 5 or 6 years. Look at from the first records to the last ones. It's amazing work.
That's crazy that they were only a group that we know about for a 7-year period.
7 years. Isn't that incredible?
By the way, Martin Scorsese, you only have to ask him. We asked him 2 questions, and he could go on for 3 or 4 minutes. He's still a dynamo, but he's slowing down enough now in his 80s, I think, to sound normal. Because he was he packed...
He was very frenetic.
10 pages into a paragraph. Yeah. He was so that is now streaming on Disney Plus, and it's not quite as good, I will say, as the
Peter
Jackson, where they took a lot of that old footage when they were putting an album together, and
he dove deep into the Beatles archives for that movie. Peter Jackson did.
Yeah, this is more like A Hard Day's Night. It's the beginning of the Beatles. They were just coming to the United States, and they're holed up in the Plaza Hotel, and they can't go anywhere. Oh. And Phil Spector, I think, sneaks them out the back way, and they go out for.
Did you ever see the movie I Want to Hold Your Hand, directed by Robert Zemeckis?
Yeah, is Patrick Dempsey in that?
No, it was I forget who was in it, but it was Spielberg, I think, produced.
About
and it was
some
about Beatlemania, about a bunch of
Beatlemania,
kids
the
that
girls that
sneak
went to
into.
yes.
Nancy Allen was one of them. Wendy
Yeah.
Jo Sperber, and they sneak into the Plaza Hotel to meet the Beatles. It is one of the funniest movies.
Good. Rent that.
It's worth revisiting.
Rent that if you're. Okay, another movie coming out this month stars Jennifer Lopez. Now she is playing the mother of an extraordinary athlete in a movie called Unstoppable, streaming this month after opening in theaters last month. It's a real-life role for her, and Lopez met with the woman who raised a one-legged son who went on to be a championship wrestler. Here she talks about meeting the woman she portrays. Take a listen.
And as you were saying there, Judy is incredible, and it's great that we get to see her story as well. What was it like getting to play her and share her story too?
You know, it's funny because she doesn't want any credit and she doesn't think she deserves anything. And it's just like, it's like a woman thing, right? Like we always feel like we want to do better, that it's somebody else that should get the credit, not us, especially as moms. Sometimes we always want our kids to kind of shine. But you know, if you speak to Anthony, her son, he really gives the credit of who he is to her. And so that's a beautiful thing. They really, because she had him so young, they kind of raised each other in a weird way. They taught each other so much. And her love and her strength and her love and acceptance of him made him love and accept himself. And I think created this extraordinary human being who inspires so many people. So again, like getting to know Judy and the struggles that she went through to become who she is really, you know, something that as an actress was very full character to play. And so I was excited to do it, and I understood it too. So it was a pleasure to be able to do it.
She looks amazing.
She does look amazing.
One thing that's interesting about her, if you're listening to this on the radio, she was luminous. She's not luminous in the movie because she does deglam a little bit. And she's one of those people, you were talking about Tom Cruise earlier, who he's not a character actor yet. He's still treating himself in his 60s as a handsome leading man.
Right.
And that's what you get when you get Tom Cruise. If he's going to be a character actor, he's going to put on a fat suit and be in Tropic Thunder and wear so much makeup you don't even recognize him. So he hasn't made the transition the way that she has. Finally, one film new to stream this month. I actually think this broke in December, but we talked about it at the top of the show. It's Fly Me to the Moon, starring Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum. Yeah, pardon me. And it's I can't read my own writing, and even this very large.
It's like font print. Like
it's a romantic comedy from last year. It was seen as an intelligent kind of anti-programming against the big blockbuster sequels, but that didn't quite work out. And when we caught up with her on the red carpet, she had high hopes, and she likes Apple. She likes working with them. They thought at the time that people would go see this in a real theater.
Apple got the tone of this film immediately. They immediately were excited by the fact that it was an original concept that wasn't based on pre-existing IP, and that which has become sort of the norm, unfortunately, for most studios. And Apple just was not afraid of that. They were not afraid of making something original that you had to educate the audience about. I think for them it fit very much into what Apple is all about. It's gorgeous and it looks so beautiful on the big screen, and I think it's one of those sort of summer films that feels like it's a perfect date night film. It's great for families. It sort of satisfies a lot of desire, and I hope people see it as sort of a welcome original concept in the theater this summer.
Yeah, they didn't see it in the movies in the summer. It cost $100 million to make, and it brought in about $38 million.
You know, it really wasn't promoted that much.
I don't think people go to movie theaters to see anything that aren't sequels or isn't intellectual property that they've already seen someplace else in some way or some shape.
Probably true.
Reading right now, a great book I got at the holidays called Sonny Boy by Al Pacino. Right. And the worst idea, and we'll leave it at that for this show, the single worst idea from a great filmmaker is a movie coming this year called Heat 2.
No, Michael Mann?
Yes, Michael Mann directing.
No. I did the junket for that.
Greatest, that's right.
Yeah.
with De Niro and Pacino nervous to be in the same scene together at Kate Manalini's, so they didn't rehearse it. They did it in one take. Hey, we did this whole show in one take. Thanks for joining us. This is AirHamptons. We're going to play a little music out at the end. We're going to see Jim Turner next time.
Thank you
Patrick,
for
please
inviting
come
me.
back.
I will. Anytime you ask, Bill. Anytime you ask.
And thanks so much for
Eric
listening.
Cohen. Eric Cohen, thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to go work out with him, I think.
Get that